we're live now.
6:30. Let's call tonight's Board of Works meeting to order. Brad, would you call the roll?
Mayor Eargang.
Here.
Jonathan Maple.
Here.
Brad Dreyer.
Here.
Brad Marcy. All right, all present and accounted for.
Thanks. We got copies of the minutes in our packets. Have you had a chance to review those?
Yep.
Any amendments? Not. Could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. We have no items under old business tonight. We do have three items under new business. Item one under new business I am going to remove. We are still waiting on some financial documentation, I believe. Once we have that, that's the only item we need, I think. All the departments have signed off on this, but we're waiting for the letters of credit. Okay, we will address that next month, assuming we get those. Item 2 and item 3 are both road closures, and if you'd like, we can handle those as one item. The first item up is the road closure on August 15th for the Tap and Chisel Craft Brew Festival. That takes place the same area. It's taken place the last 2 years. And I think you saw the map in there. I believe Amy has visited with the affected neighbors. Do you have any questions on that?
Nope.
And then the next item up is another item that's had occurred repeatedly over my entire lifetime. It's the St. Louis Church Festival, and it's also road closures there in front of the school and behind the school on Walnut. Are there any questions on those? Okay. I'm just going to ask for one motion to approve both of the road closure requests.
I'll make that motion to approve the road closure requests.
And I need a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Those are the only items we have tonight, unless either of you have questions on anything that we've got pending. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Works meeting.
I'll make a motion we adjourn the Board of Works meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The Board of Works meeting is adjourned. We will start the council meeting at 6:40.
Hi, how you doing? You need a map? I always think, well, we don't have those the ones that-
Who, me? What'd you say? Good job. I don't know. I brought my brain. This is it, right?
Let's call tonight's city council meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Brad, would you call the roll?
Yes. All right. Derek Cox.
Here.
Brad Dreyer.
Here?
Doug Stock.
Here.
Melissa Tucker.
Here.
Beth Enneking.
Here.
Mary Eargang.
Here.
And Brad Marcy.
Thank you. Again, you all received, in your package, you received copies of last month's minutes. Are there any comments, any corrections to be made to those? Not. Could I ask for a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Department head reports were available at the back of the room. If you happen to pick those up and you have any questions, we have a few department heads here. But if not, we will move on. We have no items under old business. Our first item under new business is Mayor's Youth Council Senior Recognition, and I am going to ask Danielle to step to the podium and address our issue tonight with the senior recognition.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Becker. I'm one of the advisors for Mayor's Youth Council. So every year, we always usually use the June meeting to kind of highlight our youth and everything that they've done for the community this year. So for the 2025-2026 school year, we had 32 Mayor's Youth Council, which ranged from grades 7th through 12th. We had 2 seniors, so they are leaving Mayor's Youth Council, and that is Emily Merkel and Vince Wilson. They were not able to be here tonight as they're kind of already starting to get ready and move on with their next adventure, but they have been amazing in Mayor's Youth Council. They've been amazing leaders. They're both super involved in school and in the community, so we were super proud to have them be a part of Mayor's Youth Council for the past 7 years that they're in it for it. So I did just want to share that in the last year, our Mayor's Youth Council donated 1,785 and a half hours back to the city. So that was awesome to see that many hours that our youth dedicated to the city through various events. Most of our events come from community partners where Mayor's Youth Council volunteers at those events with it. So it's really great to see the community come together and see our youth be able to partner with different organizations and different people within the community. I did want to share, out of our 32 students that we have, 24 of them had over the 50 hours that are required to be in Mayor's Youth Council. So I think that's really great to see so many of them, such a high percentage, go above and beyond their requirement to be in Mayor's Youth Council with that. So we are super excited for our seniors and super excited for our Mayor's Youth Council to continue doing things in our community. Any questions?
I know Vince will be going to Marion University, and I think he's going to study mechanical engineering. Do we know what Emily's plans are?
Oh,
To the devil. Look at that.
Emily is right here. If you would like to share, I can share for her. She is going for accounting to IU Bloomington. IU Bloomington is where Emily. And Emily also interned as a mentor through the coalition as well. So it was great to see her do so well with that.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Emily. And do you have anything that you would like to add about the wonderful experience you've had on Mayor's Youth Council for the last 7 years, 5 years?
It's really helped me grow within the community. I've been able to meet a lot of new people and work with a lot of new people, and also really build my leadership skills, especially this past year with taking the role as president. It was different. It was a lot of work, but it really helped me just kind of come out of my shell a little bit compared to when seventh grade did. So.
Well, and again, thank you for all your efforts over the years. We appreciate that. And we do have some more youth council members here. While we're covering youth council, would you guys stand up and introduce yourselves and tell us what you do on youth council?
You just want to say your name and you guys are new, so it's your first year in Mayor's Youth Council. If you just want to.
If you want to step to the mic, that would be the best. That way we can all hear.
Come on down, guys. It's all right.
If you would.
I'm Gabriella Brown, and this is my 4th year in Mayor's Youth Council, and I was on the pickleball committee. We were planning a pickleball tournament.
When is the pickleball?
On Saturday.
This Saturday, correct?
Good plug.
My name is Elsie Caney. I have been in Mayor's Youth Council for 3 years, I think, and I was on the car wash committee.
My name is Addie Fogel, and this is my first year doing Mayor's Youth Council.
I'm Lucy Bailey, and this is also my first year of Mayor's Youth Council.
Thank you. They get to come to. They get to visit with me at least once a month, and listen as I espouse my legislative wisdom. I can tell they get a big charge out of it some nights, because some of the things I have to say, I'm sure, are very entertaining. Thank you very much. All right. Our next item up is, I'm sorry, Phil, you were listed as Paul in the agenda. Phil Deerdorf is here. He lives on Westbrook Drive, and he would like to express some concerns he's had recently.
Paul's my cousin. He doesn't live here. He lives up towards Dayton, but that's all right. Thanks for allowing me to address the council meeting this evening. My wife Connie and I purchased our home at 45 Westbrook Drive back in spring of 2018. Over the years, we've worked to improve the acre-and-a-quarter lot with additional trees and native plantings. And during that time, we also tried to minimize any use of pesticides, harmful fertilizers, and weed controls that could leach into the creek that flows through the property. Now, there are basically two initial issues I'd like to address this evening. We noticed shortly after moving to our home that heavy rains quickly backed up the single drainage pipe that flows under our property. If leaf debris or branches block the grate at the curb, the water backs up very quickly and then flows through our front yard. And I've tried to slow the progression of the water with plantings, adding a log, and I anchored that log down a couple feet into the ground. And then also making sure that I take the leaves from the fall and try and stack those behind the log in an effort to slow that water down. I've had some limited success with that. I also noticed that a lot of times if I don't get out in time before a heavy rain to clean that grate, that's where the issue really starts. It will back up, come over the curb, and when it gets going, it flows pretty good, and it takes dirt and debris and sticks and everything else with it. And the thing is the culvert's the only one on the entire street. The neighborhood was developed back in the early 80s. So the storms back then weren't nearly as bad as they are now. I believe everybody has a copy of that packet. I hope the pictures came out all right, but the first couple pictures show the sewer manhole cover. That is clear water at that point. The sewage is already in the yard. And then some of the following pictures show where the water backs up at the street level. But the biggest issue and most disturbing is that sewage overflow. It gushes out of that manhole cover. And as you can see from the photo, the clear water comes after, which then forces the sewage into the creek and on downstream. In this last week of May, the remnants of the raw sewage and other toilet debris is still in our front yard. It's not safe, it's not healthy, and this is for anyone in the neighborhood, and we do have kids that live in that neighborhood and like to play out around the yards. It's my understanding the city of Batesville has statutes on the books requiring homeowners with downspouts and sump pumps that are attached to the city water system or city sewer system to divert the water from the sewer system to the rainwater drainage. It appears that there are homes that still drain their rainwater into the city sewer lines, thus the clear water coming from the manhole cover in the photo that I attached. I'm asking the City Council to take action to address these issues. I definitely do not pretend to have all the answers. I really don't. I'm just asking the council members to do their due diligence to help out the residents of Westbrook neighborhood. Thank you again for allowing me to speak this evening.
Thank you, Phil. And I want to acknowledge that I spoke with Phil's wife, Connie, when I was on council about this issue, and we are aware we have some stormwater infiltration into our sanitary sewer system that's occurring, and I would say we also believe there is some part of the issue that is coming from your second item, private property owners who have improper infrastructure attached to the sewer. We have, as Phil well knows, we have been working on the issue with our mains over the years. We've rehabbed, and Randy, you chime in if I'm wrong, about 3,500 linear feet of them that we have rehabbed with a cure-in-place process. Our plan is to continue with that. Unfortunately, the magnitude of that issue is, like I say, we've gotten 3,504 feet done, but in that main line, I believe there's still over 10,000 feet to go. We're typically spending about $250 per foot for that cured-in-place process. I know at this point, Gary Ladd, who does some engineering work for you guys, is working on another estimate for another section of it. It'll be bid in the fall, so it would be likely done in the early spring. But we haven't, you haven't seen his plan for that section or how much of it? Okay, all right. So our plan is to continue that process. The next item would be to consider how to address the infiltration from the private property owners. There are ways we can test that to see what the magnitude of that actually is. I think there's probably been some question, is the biggest part of the problem our sewer main, or is it the private connections hooked up? Would you say that's safe to say?
The reason we're doing the interceptor right now because it's along the creek. And if we get a big rain with an hour and a half, our flows jump up. So that's why we picked that section. Most of the money we're spending is going into these subdivisions because I think most of the flow right now is probably coming from the creek.
Okay.
So that's why we're concentrating on that.
Nevertheless, I think it behooves us to, evaluate, try to figure out the extent of what the private property owners are contributing to the overflow.
And we don't know that at all right now, right? Or do we have a guesstimate? That's really the core question that I have is it 5% of owners or is it 30%? We don't know until we investigate, correct?
Until we did some sort of testing to identify, to be brutally honest, it was in the mid-90s when the city of Batesville was put on a sewer ban. And at that time, again, how many properties were, partnering? It was probably most of them at that time. And when we replaced our sewer mains, I think the approach was fix ours first and then see what's left. And we did fix a lot of ours. Unfortunately, the main, we were talking the other day, the main that runs through the golf course it's already over 40 years old, 45 years old, and it's concrete pipe, correct? Okay. Nevertheless, I think it would behoove us to do some testing or some flow monitoring. I don't know if we have the meters that we could use, that we could do some flow monitoring ourselves, number one, maybe see where the heaviest flow is getting into the main line, and then possibly entertain some smoke testing. The hard part's going to be if we do smoke testing and we find even if we find handfuls. If we find handfuls, that's not so bad because we know that's not the biggest part of the problem. But if we find lots of them, we're going to have a lot of individual property owners, and I get it, that are going to be faced with some big expenses. So we need to honestly come up with a fair or an if we determine that that's the case, that we have all these, an equitable way to say, okay, we've identified the problem, but to give them an adequate amount of time to fix it. Do you all agree or have comments or?
Randy, when do you think that you guys could start doing like the smoke test and all of these two things? Okay, you guys don't do it. Okay. Okay, I didn't know that.
So you said something, can you just help me understand? So you said we're the first biggest concern is along the creek. So I'm just confused. So if we really can't fix the creek per se? But if a lot of the thought is that there's a lot of homeowners that have plugged into this way, we're not going to really change that sewer, the water through the creeks, as far as how much we get when it rains and things.
We have a problem on the north side. It's just adding more water to us.
But the other part of that issue is the sewer. So that's rainwater that's coming. That rainwater is coming into the sewer line. So how do we divert that? I mean, so you're saying the other way we could divert all that water that's coming into on the golf course, we're going to call it, is how do we account for that? I guess that's
then the water can't infiltrate that main.
Okay.
Then we have more surface water.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. So we're gonna have more surface water. Does that become another problem?
Not for the treatment plant, but the other problem we have is when we have. Yeah, when we have it in the main, then we're treating rainwater, which
costs money. And we don't need to do it right.
Yeah, it would be, and obviously in Mr. Deerdorf's case, I guess if I had to pick, I would pick clean water over dirty water.
Every day.
That's why we've entertained what we have been doing with the mains. Again, we had a plan to do some this year, but then we were confronted with a $370,000 grinder pump issues or lift station issues at Hillendale. So we diverted that much money to that project this year. But again, I think it would behoove us to try to make an effort anyway to start to determine how much infiltration we're getting from private property owners. So,
and do we have some, my bigger concern is, is there some liability with, if in fact that's raw sewage in the yards? Does that potentially get us into some trouble if we're not?
Well, we get into trouble when our sewer bypasses. But as we know what happens when that happens enough. Earlier in the year when we had that stretch, I hate to, I'm not trying to belittle our situation, but every plant up the line, I know Greensburg was bypassing, Shelbyville was bypassing, but it can eventually get to the point where IDEM does say, enough's enough. And that's what we were faced with in the 90s when they put us on a sewer ban. Right. I don't have any knowledge that there's any kind of imminent. Here's the thing about our plant: we have plenty of capacity to treat the wastewater, but obviously our problem is we have a lot of infiltration. Particularly when we have, and I was out of town the Wednesday that this occurred. Believe me, I did see it on social media. But I think that rainfall that day, I talked to our water and gas people that keep those records. It was coming down at a rate of 4 inches per hour. And when it's coming down 4 inches per hour, it's going to overwhelm the storm infrastructure. But to Randy's point, if we could get that main lined, I think that would help immensely.
So the way to determine if they're connected to the city lines, is that what you're saying, right? Is only by the smoke test, or do all of these residents, you think these 15 or so houses, do they know that where they're tapped in, or do they understand?
Because if it's an older home, probably most of them are hooked into the sanitary sewer. That's what we've been finding.
And again,
What they do, they plug the sewer off, they start forcing smoke down the sanitary line. If it comes out any place but your stack on your house, you're hooked in illegal. If it comes in your house, you got problems in. You just want to come out your stack if it's done right.
So Randy, not non-legal question for me, homeowner question. My downspouts are hooked into some type of corrugated pipe underneath my house. Is there a way that homeowners can get ahead of this out of concern for folks like the Deerdorfs, or I know we've had, okay, so.
So just,
Your houses are low lying, where if you don't have a sump pump and you can't daylight it out, you about know where it's going in part of the sanitary sewer. Because that's the only place for the water to get away.
but they have to have you guys do that, though, give you the tablets and stuff, or what?
Yeah, we've got dye tablets that work, yeah.
So if a homeowner's interested in doing that proactively, they could get a hold of you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll work with them. We'll come out and let us know. We come out and, get run water down the downspouts, and we get up the closest manhole and put dye in it. If it comes in down the stream, well, then you got your downspouts in it. Or if you got a sump pump, if you don't know where your sump pump comes out, well, it's probably going into your sanitary sewer.
And that would,
Everything daylights, your downspouts and your sump pump.
and
If you can't find it, probably pretty good chance it's going to sanitary sewer.
and that proactive measure would certainly be viewed as favorable behavior on behalf of the city of Batesville, rather than us finding it via smoke testing. Is that probably also fair to say?
Once you're hooked in, if you're down, say you got your perimeter drains in there, you gotta go inside and replumb your house. That's where the expense comes in. Downspouts aren't bad, but if your perimeter drains are coming in, you gotta replumb your house.
yeah. So we could get something out about the dye testing if people would want to entertain that. I'd be happy to get something out that we could assist them with that.
And what, notify all of the houses about it, their option to get some dye
Yeah,
tablets?
let them know that
Yeah.
that the wastewater could do that for them. But
And just for clarification, Randy, I know you're not saying this is a handful of houses, you're saying this is a citywide potential issue.
Just it's not located in Westbrook, it's over town.
probably to your point again, particularly in the older part of town.
Just back like, probably when they put it in, they wanted the sanitary or the downspouts in there because they didn't have much.
They didn't.
That's all they got the wastewater. And now, we're supposed to be 100% sanitary, but like I said, we.
Yeah, well, back at that time, our sewers were combined, and we don't want them combined anymore. And we have been putting separate storm infrastructure in over the years. So again, you all, if you're okay with that, obviously we're going to continue our line in place project, and I think we need to do some testing to try to evaluate the magnitude of the problem caused by the private residences. And then after that, we're going to have to determine a fair amount of time to deal with rehabilitation and so forth.
The resident is responsible for the house to the main line, including the T. That's the homeowners, it's not the cities. That's the homeowners.
Anybody have anything else?
So I know we do a great job with us, how we spend our money, but I mean, is there anything out there that we could create some urgency with the state of trying to get some funds, grants or those kinds of things?
I will share with you, I did reach out to ARA, and they are looking at those opportunities for us.
I mean, I know that all requires matching kind of stuff, but you know, if there's some additional money out there that could expedite the process or keep the process moving.
Haven't you heard the governor, Brad?
I have. That's why I asked
do
the
more
question.
with less.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question, but I think I do the answer because I think we try to spend money wisely. But yeah,
yes, I have asked ARA to look at grant opportunities for us, and I think Beth had mentioned. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I just found a little bit of research on the EPA offers some low-interest homeowner loans potentially as another opportunity for revenue sourcing.
So,
okay.
Phil, I know you'd love for us to have it all fixed, but
Well, as long as you're working on it.
okay.
You can't, I mean, it took years to get to this point.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do it in a day.
Okay. Well, like I say, we'll continue with our line in place project, and we'll start examining some of this other stuff to see how we can address that, and then we'll try to keep in touch.
Much appreciated. Okay. Head for band practice. What's that?
We can put bolt down lids, they won't come up, but I'm not saying I'm gonna push it to somebody's basement or your basement or whatever.
One of my neighbors has on those situations it comes up in their house, so I'm afraid if you do that with.
Well.
Come up with my shower.
Yeah, it's just 2 doors down, and they are having some real issues with that. That's worse than I've got.
Well, that's kind of why we've never done that. I think that opportunity came up a few years ago when we were talking, and we decided that wasn't a good option. Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Sorry, I lost my agenda. Okay, next item up, we have a Belterra funds request from the Batesville Kiwanis. I thought the whole back row was Batesville Kiwanis, but I think I
Just 3 of us.
I know we have at least 3.
There's just 3 here tonight. I'm Dana Cassidy. I'm the Vice President of Kiwanis. Jackie Huber is the Secretary. And Jerry Bennett back here, he might want to get up, right? No?
Probably not.
Probably not. He's our president this year. So we are here representing Tricia Fossbender, who put this request in. She is out of town, and I believe you have some information in front of you. Yes? Okay. So you probably know the Kiwanis has been at organization in our community for a long time. We actually will be celebrating 50 years in 2027 of doing wonderful things for our town and our kids, 2 of which you probably know well, Apple Fest and the Kiwanis Carnival. But our reach goes a lot further, and you should have received this paper tonight. This just goes over some of the activities and events that we sponsor and support in our town. When I joined, I had no idea. Jackie and Jerry have said the same thing. We are far-reaching and touch a lot of different entities in our town. So one of the things that we're looking for, because our membership is aging, is we are looking for some new ways to engage our community and find some new members within the city of Batesville. So what we'd like to do is go over 3 specific requests. I'm going to pass the mic to Jackie, and she's going to talk a little bit about what those are.
So as we look over our activities for each year, our 3 requests kind of come in 3 different categories. The first request we have a banner at the intersection of 46 and 229 to notify the community about our Apple Fest. It's one of our bigger events for the community. So one of the requests is to update the banner for that annual event. The next, so you'll see 2 quotes in the packet. The second quotes involve the development of a website. We feel that a website would be a great way to share information about all of the activities. It would be a great way to, for instance, share the sign up for our vendors for the Apple Fest. It would be a great way to share information about all our organization. And the last quote includes some marketing materials. So it includes brochures, handouts, graphic design, just kind of developing a marketing packet. So as Tricia, I believe she referenced in the request, this is a one-time request. Because of the setup of our organization, there are some grants that we are not able to apply for. So we do request, after reviewing the information, any support that you can provide to the Kiwanis, we greatly appreciate. Our core philosophy is that the most effective way to improve a community is to invest in our young members. So as you see, many of those activities support the young people in our community. So we appreciate any support you can provide. Do you have any questions for us?
One of the things that I will say that I appreciate is I've seen Kiwanis around my entire life, right? And knew coming in, obviously knew you were going to make a request. What I forgot is how much you are actually involved in that doesn't directly come out with the name Kiwanis, right? Yellowstone kids, the youth of Yellowstone. I'm familiar with several of them that have come through, and you don't think about it from an individual standpoint. You look at it as Kiwanis and you know your active group, but I commend you for a lot of the things that I forgot that you were involved with going through.
Thank you. I think Dana and Jerry and I can also just reiterate the things we did not realize. I'm fairly new to Kiwanis. The things that this event support for the community that Kiwanis does.
I'll make a motion to.
I got something else for you.
Yeah.
So just in looking through the proposals that you guys are thinking of here, I guess the question I have is, how do we make this more all about all of Batesville as opposed to the Kiwanis? So we're going to give money for the Kiwanis to develop a website. How do we do something that brings it all together so we can share some costs there? So we don't develop a single website for the Kiwanis.
Right.
But maybe we have some kind of a link or something. Again, I'm not going to speak a whole lot because I don't have technology is not really my friend. So, but my question would be is, looking at some of these things, is like, okay, how do we bring this to a one-stop place? And I know we've been fighting that for a long time, but this just kind of does the same idea, whereas you guys are kind of out on your island trying to promote yourself, which I think is fantastic. And like you said, there's a bunch of stuff that I wasn't aware of.
Sure. So, Brad, in regards to your question, with a website, if we have a Kiwanis website, any website, we could link it back to city, to the activities. City could link from the city site to any of those activities for the Kiwanis. So it's just involving links. And we would, I believe that would be understood that we would include links to city, to any of the activities.
And is this something, again, just thinking out loud, but is this something that, the youth council, most of these kids today, and computers and websites and things like that, could we get some of those kids as part of one of the projects they take on? Again, not saying that this stuff isn't worth the investments, but are there some ways that we could take some kids? Everybody looks for volunteers and everybody has their hand out, and that's always a problem.
Right.
So my thought with some of these high school kids, some of these things they could probably do pretty quickly. It might take me several years and months to develop the first page. Just a thought. If that's totally not feasible, then it's totally not feasible. I just wonder if that could become part of some of the, could the youth council, could they help us with some of this kind of stuff? I don't know.
I'm going to chime in. Number one, this is a council thing, so my comments are simply that, comments. To your point, Brad, they are already very involved with KSLA, so they do have students that could maybe work on a project for them. And I know you had made a comment about, couldn't this be more of an all-encompassing Batesville thing? And I mean, just all the things that they do here, in my opinion, are part of that all-encompassing Batesville thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you guys did contribute to our fireworks.
Yes, we did.
Kind of.
Yes.
They do a lot of that stuff. I mean, the money they make at their carnival goes back and does, or at their Apple Fest or their golf scramble goes back and enables them to help us with things like that. So, I get it, the whole one-stop shop thing, and I think everybody knows how I feel about the one-stop shop. I think you need more than one stop. So anyway, but the things they are doing are very impactful for the community in general. So that's my only comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, my experience in marketing costs, it seems pretty reasonable. But what's been outlined, developing a website sounds simple, but there's a lot more involved. I personally think high school students are amazing, but taking on building a website, I don't think would be something you'd just want to send a high school student out to do. So I think it sounds like a pretty reasonable ask.
Thank you.
And Brad, I'll echo some of that again, just comment here. I know Batesville Main Street, and Amy can probably provide some context to this too. We just went through a website rebuild, and having a professional service provider is valuable because we went through, it took 6 months plus of focus groups and reviews and things of that nature. And I think it would be valuable to have students as part of that process. But to Beth's point, it would have been hard for a student to do what we had Daniel Fayette do it, and just from that perspective. So, there's
Again,
to your point,
I made the comment that I don't know a lot about technology.
me either, but it is eye-opening to go through that process, so.
It costs, like from a guy that's a business owner and is going through website redesign and looking at the costs that, honestly, I wish I had the price tag of everything that was included on there for what it is that we're doing. So with that, $7,200 for what Kiwanis brings to the table every single year, I make a motion that we fund $7,200 to Kiwanis.
I'll second. Nope. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was our last item of new business. Next item up is the clerk treasurer's report. Brad is frantically writing.
All right. Yeah, so treasurer's report for the month of May. We are on track within our appropriated spending to where we expect we'd be in May. You'll see like a net change to our accounts. We're only down $1,700 once you remove that large payoff for the bond we paid earlier. And I don't know how many people will be really interested in this or not. The pool has been open for 2 weeks now. For the first 2 weeks, revenue is up 57%. We've had great weather. They've sold 184 annual passes in the first 2 weeks compared to 186 through the month of June last year. And daily admissions are also so far 848 compared to 335 for the first 2 weeks. So that's a good sign. So I know it was a rough beginning of the summer for the pool. So some other good news. Yeah. And I don't know, does anybody have any other questions, concerns, curiosities? Again, more than welcome to stop by. I can go over anything with you you're interested in hearing. So. Okay.
All right. That being said, we will need a motion to approve tonight's claims.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Melissa.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next item is the mayor's report, and I will try to be brief tonight. First item up, I would like to recognize Blake Roop on his retirement from the Batesville Police Department. His retirement was effective Monday, June 1st. Blake served in law enforcement for 23 years, including the last 17 with our department. He was a community-oriented officer while serving Batesville. He worked as a patrolman, a school resource officer, detective, lead detective, and served as an assistant chief. We sincerely appreciate his 17 years on the force and for his service to the community, and we wish him the best in retirement. The next item, I will give you some abbreviated construction updates. I see I will lean on John back there if somebody has a specific question. The sidewalk project on 229 is on schedule. It's projected to be done late fall. Actually, I won't call it just the sidewalk project, but the whole project with the bridge and so forth. The new traffic light is up at Six Pine Ranch and Highway 229. Again, people that I know who are going through the areas have commented that it seems to be working well. The social media commenters aren't necessarily the same, but people who I've actually talked to have indicated that it is working well. If we were near the intersection today or out on Highway 46, the Highway 46 resurfacing project has begun. They were doing some patching today. Honestly, I don't know how far east they got. The last time I saw them, they were down near East Pearl Street. I don't know if they got past, like, up 129 that direction or not. But that's the first step in that process, and then they will mill the surface and put the overlay, and then the paving is obviously the painting is actually the last part. And again, I believe NDOT anticipates the entire project to take 3 weeks. Actually, I think they have end of July as their closeout on that project.
Yeah, that's what they had, but talking to the pavers last week, they said it would take about 3 weeks before they're done. So
Okay. I think there will be some light work too. I mean, traffic light work. They'll be adjusting some timing on the lights, I believe.
got to put all the loops back in and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Next item up, our Parks Department is currently working on their 5-year master plan and is seeking community input. We encourage you to visit our city website. There's a community survey directed toward that project. There are also paper copies, I believe, available in the lobby. And we would encourage you to fill those out so we can get a lot of information to how we want to move forward over the next 5 years with Batesville Parks. Actually, don't miss Batesville Main Street's Music Bash on June 20th downtown. The event starts at 2 p.m. There will be family games, food vendors, the revival of the Fastest Kid in Town race. Local talent takes center stage this year. Brooks Werner starts us off from 4 to 6, and he is followed by Buzz Ben with Batesville's own Derek Foster from 7 until 10 p.m. Bring your friends and family and enjoy downtown Batesville. events for the 4th of July to celebrate America's 250th. They're well underway. There are a lot of great things scheduled for both the 4th and the 5th. We'd be here for a while if I included them all, but a few I'd like to make note of is the grand opening of the Batesville Area Skate Park and Outdoor Adventure and Bouldering Wall at 2 p.m. And that is actually on the 3rd, correct? Oh. On the 3rd. At 5, okay. And then this one is the key, because this is my wife's thing. Get your period costume ready for the costume contest taking place on the main stage at 7 p.m. This is again on July the 3rd, the night of the fireworks. There's no registration needed. Prizes and ribbons are awarded for the most authentic, funniest, and more. So there's a chance for everyone to take home some glory. Everyone who participates in the costume contest will be invited to ride on a special float in the 4th of July parade the next morning. So your moment in the spotlight doesn't end on the 3rd. For parade information, you can contact Carolyn Dickman at 812-212-9382. It's not necessary to pre-register for the parade. If you want to ride your bike with your kids, we'd love to have you. You can always just check out the BatesvilleIndiana.us website for everything that's going on the 3rd and 4th. And that is the last item that I'm going to address. Do we have any citizens here tonight that would like to address council? If not,
John, can I give a couple updates?
Sure.
So just a quick reminder, this weekend, this Saturday, is the annual Ride to Remember, where we honor 13 soldiers that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for protecting our freedom. The starts at 8 a.m. out at Liberty Park. So if you don't have anything to do Saturday morning and you want to teach your kids about what that's all about, it's I've participated in several years, and it's a pretty moving experience. It's just a nice way to show your respect and appreciation for those that have paid that sacrifice. And then the other thing, we had talked last month about the parking ordinance. So I've talked to most of the council members and just gotten some feedback. And the one thing that we're looking at doing, it seems like throughout downtown there's quite a few different levels of parking, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours. And my thought, and I think the general consensus, is to try to have something that's consistent throughout the downtown area. So Blaine and I have been talking with that. And what we're kind of working towards is something that we're going to do from 8 to 5, a 2-hour parking time frame. Anything after 5 o'clock, we'll have basically free unlimited parking at that point.
No time constraint.
No time constraint, yeah. And again, some things that seem so easy, after talking to Blaine, there's some little things we got to kind of fine tune about, some different streets and things like that. But in general, that's kind of the plan that we're moving towards, and hopefully we'll have a ordinance, I'm guessing next month, that we can look at that.
Okay.
Does that sound fair, Blaine?
That is the plan. One clarification that I did have as I was going through the parking schedule, there's a number of downtown streets, and when I say downtown, I'm referring to the downtown district that is defined under our zoning code, where there's parking that is prohibited, and you want to retain those prohibited parking areas. Is that correct? Again, this is the layers of complexity when you adopt the blanket ordinance, right? I would assume that you would want to keep those prohibited areas in place. And again, you can review the parking schedule, and if you want me to, I can print a version out, highlight it, send it to you all to say, take a look at these areas. And then I can also do that for the parking schedule where there is limitations, less than 2 hours that are within that downtown district, and have those sent to you just so that way you're aware of the areas that according to our code that we have in the schedule that are going to be impacted.
Yeah, so if we could get that, and then we'll give our feedback about any other little changes that happen along the way for that ordinance. We could do that.
Could we get some clarification on that, on the Walnut area between the two buildings, former Baxter buildings, on whether or not that area has been painted yellow, whether or not that is actually by code yellow, or if that was painted because of some other non-official action.
So in the code, it looks like Walnut Street, one half block south of George Street to 1/3 block north of Catherine Street is 10-minute parking. Right, yeah, I think that's across from.
That's what we're talking about.
Dave Getzwiller's.
That side.
Yeah.
I think most of it's yellow right now, but I think it was because when Hillrom and all of them were in there and the trucks and stuff, but now that both of the buildings have been purchased and they're having more activity, I think we'd have to look at that, because I know that, I think you're asking, can people park there? Is that what you're, yeah.
So Walnut Street between Pearl and George Streets, parking is prohibited between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Outside of Monday through Friday, folks are free to park there according to the code. Now, again, that's one of those inconsistencies, right? For how do you paint? You got to put signage up and things of that nature for folks. So I think that's some of the, now that's a parking prohibited area within our code. So those are the types of areas that if we're going to leave all the parking prohibited portions, and as we circulate those, just bring those to my attention so that way we can identify those and we can try to make sure our published code marries up.
And I guess just speaking of that specific area, are you guys, John, are you aware of why that was done that way and what harm would it do to, I mean, I guess could we do some different parking arrangements there to get more cars to park there kind of for the Sherman?
My guess would be at one time, they did have trucks pulling in and I think there are some trucks still occasionally pulling in there, because I know, the businesses are in use now, and so that's something that we
should talk to them.
We would need to be cognizant of. And then the other thing, to your point, in my mind, the west side of that would be ideal for angle parking. You could get more cars in there.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I think we'll talk to some of the tenants before we decide that, because I know that some have told me that, now that we say the 8 to 5, a lot of times one particular business that's active there has trucks coming in the evenings.
Sure.
So maybe there's a way to, but we can talk about that.
You need to talk to
We'll get,
Zach and that.
Exactly.
Since they're using that space, but again,
One other side note thing that I think is something that we should honestly consider. If you go to any other city around, one of the things that you're going to easily be able to see are blue parking signs for parking spots and parking lots. And it was a little thing that I didn't even think about either. But when I was talking to people at the Historical Society, going all the way down there, I've lived here my whole life. And like when you tell me, I know there's a public parking spot in front of Weigel Funeral Home, right? But when I'm driving, I don't think of it. And just those little things that signage, if you put signage, a standard blue P brick sign somewhere in front of some of the areas that we got from a longevity standpoint, might be something just directing people into town, where to go, where to alleviate some of that traffic flow thing. A simple little concept.
Yeah. And again, there is, right on the street in front of that parking lot, there's available parking as well. But again, I think on that Walnut Street section, if you angle parked it, you can get quite a few cars in there. But you guys, that's part of your decision on how you want to bring that ordinance forward.
But in prep, I think what you're saying is right. Leave the prohibited ones as they are in your approach, right? And then we can address those individually as they come up and we see them. That's what I would say.
Right, and I'll try to flag those just because, again, there's some areas like, for example, it's actually prohibited to park on any streets bounded by Catherine, Park, Boehringer, and Walnut between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., which inherently you can view to prevent overnight parking, right, in the downtown square area. And so those are the types of things, again, when you would do the 8 to 5, 2 hours, these are the types of things that I'll have to sort through and marry up, and I'll try to flag those as we go through the schedule. And I know Mike probably is keen on some of this stuff too, so we'll try to get him in the loop as well.
I think it was probably to prevent overnight parking, and at one time, the the street department, that was when they actually swept the streets between 4 and 6, so they didn't want cars on the road then. Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, that concludes the agenda. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 13th at 6:30 p.m. And since we've discussed all we care to, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Everybody's on board. All those in favor?
Aye.
We did have a second, didn't we?
I'll second.
Okay. It's been motion second, and
Yep.
and it was a unanimous pass.
Yeah.
Our night's adjourned. Well.